Good morning, students. Welcome to a new class of software engineering, that is software configuration management. This is a very important point of Unit 2 in which the project planning activities can be well performed and all the planning becomes more successful if a proper configuration control plan is prepared. The configuration management plan is very helpful for the developers in order to provide an efficient support to them in identifying the system's objects and the role of the objects and the state changing nature of the objects. And all those also can be controlled very well. When a particular system is under development, it requires many aids supporting objects to be created, and the actions of the objects are also very well prepared by the developers to successfully deliver the product. And when a particular software project is to be prepared and it is of large size, then it requires more effort to be paid. And the effort requirement of the systems requires different set of actions to be created, and those are called as the objects. The management of large sized products requires identification of its right set of objects and utilization of the objects very well and handling the activities of the objects very well. And the objects may be classified as like this, called as your source code, design document, SRS document, like this. When the object like source code is prepared for the system, then the source code from its starting state to its ending state becomes changed always, and it becomes gradually developed from its inception to the deliverable stage. When the source code is prepared, it requires proper concentration to be provided, and the development of the object in a right mode is also highly important. The objects like source code is very important for converting the system into an automatized system, and the source code is prepared in order to convert the real requirements of the customer into the respective output. When the system is prepared, source code is written, it is guided by a proper design, and for getting a proper design, a right design document must be prepared, and the design document is an object that provides the architectural support to the code to be prepared very well. And SRS document object provides the requirements really need to be converted into the solution domain are mentioned in the SRS. And the SRS document is highly usable by the developers to identify the customer's requirement and convert the requirements into the solutions. Test documents are the important objects. Those contains different text operations performed on the code developed, and the test operation are also well utilized, must be identified, and those can be monitored and properly prepared by writing the test documents. What test strategies to be used, how the test strategies to be implemented, and what are the outcomes of the test are all mentioned in the test documents. Got it? Preparation of user's manual are very important in order to guide the users of the system during its lifetime. The user can be convenient in using the system, and the system's implementations can be well known to the users with the user manual. So it is also an object that supports the user for preparing a proper set of executable operations. Got it? And the state of all these objects at any point of time is referred as configuration. The state changes from one position to other position, and each and every instance of the position is referred as the configuration of the software product. The configuration really identifies the role of a particular object and what will be its next role. And the configuration plan makes the object's activities well defined and perfectly implemented in converting the system into a real system. Got it? When the software development work is under process, the configuration requires to be highly prepared in order to guide the development process very well. The configuration management means what? The software configuration deals with effectively tracking and controlling the configuration of a software product during its lifetime. When a software development process is undergone, the objects identified have different states, and different states providing different outcomes, and those outcomes are well implemented if they are under configuration control. And the configuration control supports the objects to play their role very well. And the objects must be controlled very well in order to provide the results properly. And to be controlled, they should be tracked. In what manner they are working, they should be tracked. And when they are tracked, the control over their actions also can be achieved. Got it? And the product's inception stage to ending stage, the objects playing their role must be monitored by someone, and its action must be controlled very well. And that is done with the configuration management. And the configuration management system using different software configuration management tools, using which the work can be possible. And when your software configuration work is in progress, we can think about what is the need of using it. What is its real requirement? The objects are identified. The objects are to be created. How the objects will perform their role very well is the major point here. When the objects are performing their role very well, then we are ultimately getting a good result out of the objects executions. Got it? When the product development process undergone, the configuration management plan is prepared. If the plan is prepared, then we are able to solve this type of problems. While dealing with the objects, we can have such type of problems, and those can be removed when we prepare the configuration plan. So what sort of problems we are supposed to get? One of the points is your handling inconsistency problem when the objects are replicated. when a particular system is being developed, the object is identified, the object is assigned to different developers to be developed, and when the development process is undergone, the objects work according to the specifications made by the developers. And there are a number of users also provided the same set of source code to be prepared in order to gradually develop its modules. If a particular module is given as the assignment to number of peoples, as there is a team of people to be assigned in doing some work, then all the developers have their personal copies of the source code to be executed. By looking at that example, we can view the requirement of solving this type of inconsistency problem. When the number of copies are available with each and every individual of the same source code, and some individual is in requirement that he want to make some change in the system, then the changes made by number of people with the same source code may create some problems to arise. If the source code is being changed by number of developers with these personal copies of their own, and at last when the personal copies are being integrated together in order to solve the system's needs, that may lead to inconsistency problem. In each individual have made the changes in their personal copies in their own way. And when all the copies are being collaborated together, then there may be different versions or different role the system is going to play at that time, because different developers write their own set of code according to their own idea, according to their own knowledge, according to their own technologies. So the same copy is converted into some other copy by number of people, may have their own ideas implemented there, and at last the collaboration will be creating many other problems. So if the personal copies are provided to all the developers at the same time to be converted, then it may create inconsistency problems due to the code writing style, due to the strategies applied or technologies applied by the developers in different way. Got it? So there must be a single copy available for the source code, and all the source codes are to be provided to the different developers. If any change is to be made, then in the same copy it can be made, not with their own set of personal copies. Got it? This can be set through configuration management plan and can be submitted to different developers in order to remove the inconsistency situation. Got it? We can view some other problem that may arise, that is problems associated with concurrent access. Now we have came to a point that if a single copy of the source code is available and it is going to be modulated by different users or different developers, so at the same time number of developers are making changes on the single copy, also may create several other problems. At the same time number of developers are making changes on that, may lead to overwriting of the code. The overwriting may suppress some good set of code to be overwritten by somebody else. An efficient code may be removed and an inefficient code may be implemented at the same time. So the concurrent access creates such type of problems. If the single copy provided to number of people are being controlled by the configuration management system, then this problem will not arise. Got it? We can go for some other problem that may arise. There is an issue that when the software development process is undergone, the developer should be provided a stable environment. The stable development environment will help the developers to work in a same state, to be in a same mode to work conveniently. For example, the integration of module 1 or module A need to be there with module B and C, and at the same moment module C is being changed or modulated or updated by its owner, then it may not be allowed by A to integrate C with somebody else, that is B. Understood? We want to integrate module A with B and C, but C is busy with its owner to be modulated by him. So at the same time, it may create an problematic situation that the module C will not be allowed by module A to be integrated with somebody else. So in that regard, the developer may face frustrations. So such type of problem can be controlled and managed by the configuration management plan. And when this situation arises, an effective configuration plan can be applied with the managers to set the modules, objects under configuration control and provides a copy of the baseline item. Provides a copy of the baseline item as a private copy in which the changes can be made at their own level, beginning and after confirmation of the whole set of code, the changes will be updated. From the starting to up to end, all the changes will be made on the private copy of the baseline. Means if any change they want to make, then they will make the change on a private copy, a copy of the original object, original source code. And the source code will be updated when it is confirmed that the changes to be made on the module is okay and it can be beneficial. After confirmation, the module will be updated. Got it? In this way, the developers will get a stable environment, stable development environment. They did not have to wait for somebody else. They did not have to compromise in some regard. They'll do their work as per their convenience. And their changes, if it is well proved, then can be implemented at the proper time. Got it? And the implementation of such stable development environment also helps the users in getting a right system with right set of objects. Got it? We can view some other problem. Performing system accounting and maintaining status information. When a particular set of action carried out, the system accounting is performed. How much actions are carried out, what much of percentage of development is over, and what much of percentage left behind to be performed. Everything can be monitored if you do system accounting. And whenever different objects actions are carried out, its status is also maintained. So we, in order to keep track of the changes made by whom and when it is performed, we can go with this configuration plan that will help in order to account the system's activities and who have performed the activities and how he have made the activities and what type of changes are made and whether those changes are allowed to be updated or not. All those status information can be maintained. Got it? So when there is a proper configuration plan is available, then this action can be well performed. Got it? Next, view at some other problem. Handling variants. When variants of certain program module available while the product is being developed, or means copies of the same module is available, then in order to handle the module's actions, the developers are writing their own set of code and trying to implement them in the real situation. At that meantime, there is supposed to occur many errors or bugs. So if in any program module's variant, a particular bug arises, then we need to make updations or fixations of the bugs in all the variants. So all the different variants can be updated at the same time for fixing the bug if it is set through configuration control. The configuration management plan prepared for handling the variants can help in correction of the bugs, correction of the errors, fixation of the defects to be made in all the versions and in all the copies or in all the parts of the same system at the same moment, without needing to reach at individual copies and make corrections. We can do at a once. Got it? So if the configuration management plan is available, then this type of problems can be handled very well. And these type of problems are supposed to occur at the time of developing the system. And if these variants, if these problems are not sorted out, then the project development plan may be unsuccessful. Utilization of proper configuration helps an object to do its role in a well-performed manner. If not, then it will lead to several other problems. Got it? So this is our requirement why we need a configuration management plan. Got it? When a configuration management plan is prepared, then what it performs? It performs different activities. When the configuration management plan is prepared, then it is going to set configuration on the objects and identify the object's role and control the actions of the objects. Got it? And in order to perform the configuration management activity, the developers or the project managers use different configuration management tools. And the configuration management tools helps in solving the previous set of defects, previous set of problems those are going to occur at the time of developing a product. So the previous mentioned problems can be sorted out by using proper set of configuration management tools. Got it? And the configuration management tools also keep track of various deliverable objects, how the object will play its role and how it can be well implemented can be tracked by the tools. Got it? And it also helps the engineers to change the various components of the software product to be prepared in a controlled manner. When the components are prepared, those are going to provide different role inside the system. And the components are being helpful from its starting to ending. So all the components developed should be possessing certain respective output, and how the output will be perfect, it must be prepared priorly starting the components development. And a component can be well prepared if it is developed in a controlled manner. Got it? And in order to perform the configuration management actions, there are two principal activities available, like configuration identification and configuration control. Configuration identification, what are the objects, identify all those. What are the actions of the objects, identify all those. That is configuration identification. Which part of the system to be kept track of are identified in the configuration identification part. Got it? The system's actions are identified. What actions are carried out accordingly, objects are identified. How the objects play their role will be identified, and how its action will be carried out properly will also be identified here in the configuration identification part. Then configuration control, it ensures that changes to a system should be applied smoothly in a well-planned manner. If any object is doing its role and being modulated into a solution, then it should work perfectly. It should work flawlessly. How its action will be performed very well, that can be identified and controlled by the configuration control activity. The configuration control activity uses certain methodologies with it in order to play its role. And the configuration identification and control are very much important in order to solve a system's actions very well. Configuration management is very important for the software developers to be utilized, and without utilization of it, configuration identification cannot be there, and control on the activities of the objects are also can be unmanaged. For that, certain configuration control plans are prepared, and accordingly the control is performed. Got it? In this video, we have discussed about what do you mean by configuration management, what is the importance of using configuration management. If configuration management plan will not be there, then what problems we are going to face? The configuration need to be identified and controlled very well in a well-performed manner. well-planned manner. To do that, configuration identification activities are to be performed and configuration control activities are to be performed. Got it? In the next class, we'll discuss about how the configuration identification activity performed and how the control over the activity is performed. Got it? So thank you for watching the video, and please go through all the topics very well. Please go through the examples and note down in your notebooks so that you can easily implement and understand its role. Got it? Thank you.